Hello, it's Psychocore. We present Why Your Mind Creates False Memories, the dark psychology of dissociative identity. The human mind possesses an extraordinary capacity for self-deception, weaving narratives that feel utterly real yet bear no resemblance to actual events. This phenomenon becomes particularly pronounced in dissociative identity disorder, where the fragmentation of consciousness creates fertile ground for the emergence of false memories that can feel more vivid and emotionally charged than authentic recollections. Pierre Janet, the pioneering French psychologist, first observed this peculiar relationship between dissociation and memory distortion in his work with hysterical patients in the late 19th century. He noted that traumatic experiences often became disconnected from normal consciousness, creating what he termed subconscious fixed ideas that could manifest as entirely fabricated memories with profound emotional resonance. The architecture of false memory formation in dissociative states follows predictable patterns that reveal the underlying mechanisms of consciousness itself. When the mind fragments under extreme stress, it creates multiple centers of awareness that operate with varying degrees of autonomy. These fragmented states can generate their own memories complete with sensory details, emotional content, and narrative coherence that rivals authentic recollections. Consider the case of a patient who recalls with perfect clarity a childhood incident that never occurred. The memory includes specific details: the smell of rain on pavement, the sound of a door slamming, the feeling of cold metal against skin. These sensory elements feel absolutely real because they are composed of genuine fragments from various actual experiences, reassembled by the dissociative mind into a new, coherent narrative. The process resembles what Carl Jung described as the compensatory function of the unconscious. When conscious awareness becomes overwhelmed, the psyche generates alternative narratives to maintain psychological equilibrium. These false memories serve as psychological containers for emotions and experiences that cannot be integrated into normal consciousness. Modern neuroscience has revealed the biological substrate of this phenomenon. The hippocampus, responsible for memory consolidation, shows altered activity patterns in dissociative states. Rather than forming coherent memory traces, traumatic experiences become fragmented across different neural networks. When these fragments are later retrieved, they can be reassembled in configurations that bear little resemblance to the original events. The temporal dimension of false memory formation adds another layer of complexity. Unlike normal memories, which fade and distort over time, false memories generated in dissociative states often become more vivid and detailed with each recollection. This occurs because each act of remembering involves active reconstruction rather than passive retrieval, allowing the mind to add new layers of detail and emotional content. Sigmund Freud's concept of Nachträglichkeit, or deferred action, provides crucial insight into this process. Traumatic experiences may not be fully processed at the time they occur, instead remaining as psychological fragments that are later reorganized into memories that feel contemporary and immediate. This delayed processing can result in memories that are simultaneously true and false, containing authentic emotional content within fabricated narrative structures. The phenomenon extends beyond individual psychology into the realm of collective memory and cultural transmission. Families and communities affected by trauma often develop shared false memories that serve to maintain group cohesion while protecting against overwhelming psychological material. These collective false memories can persist across generations, becoming part of the cultural unconscious that shapes individual identity formation. The clinical implications of false memory formation in dissociative states are profound. Traditional therapeutic approaches that focus on memory recovery can inadvertently strengthen false memories, making them more resistant to correction. The act of repeatedly discussing and exploring these memories in therapy can add layers of detail and emotional intensity that make them feel increasingly real. This presents a fundamental challenge for clinical practice. How does one distinguish between authentic memories that have been dissociated from consciousness and false memories that have been generated by dissociative processes? The subjective experience of the patient provides little guidance, as false memories often feel more real and emotionally charged than authentic recollections. The relationship between false memories and identity formation in dissociative disorders reveals the constructed nature of the self. Multiple personality states can possess distinct sets of memories, some authentic and others fabricated, that contribute to their sense of individual identity. These memory sets may be mutually exclusive, creating internal contradictions that reflect the fragmented nature of consciousness itself. Contemporary research in cognitive psychology has identified several factors that increase the likelihood of false memory formation in dissociative states. High fantasy proneness, absorption capacity, and suggestibility create psychological conditions conducive to the generation of vivid false memories. Individuals with these traits may be more susceptible to developing dissociative disorders and more likely to experience false memories as symptoms of their condition. The social context of memory formation plays a crucial role in determining which false memories emerge and persist. Cultural narratives about trauma, recovery, and identity provide templates that shape the content and structure of false memories. These social scripts can influence not only what individuals remember, but how they interpret and integrate those memories into their sense of self. The phenomenon of false memory formation in dissociative states challenges fundamental assumptions about the nature of truth and reality. If consciousness can generate experiences that feel entirely real yet bear no relationship to actual events, what does this reveal about the reliability of subjective experience? The boundary between truth and fabrication becomes blurred when the mind itself becomes the source of deception. This epistemological crisis extends beyond individual psychology into broader questions about the nature of knowledge and experience. If our most vivid and emotionally meaningful memories can be entirely fabricated, how do we distinguish between authentic and false experiences? The dissociative mind reveals the constructed nature of all experience, suggesting that what we consider real may be nothing more than particularly convincing fabrications. The therapeutic implications of this understanding are complex and challenging. Traditional approaches to trauma treatment often assume that recovering repressed memories will lead to healing and integration. However, if some of these recovered memories are actually false memories generated by dissociative processes, the therapeutic process may inadvertently strengthen psychological fragmentation rather than promoting integration. Alternative therapeutic approaches focus on present-moment awareness and the integration of fragmented psychological states rather than the recovery of specific memories. These approaches recognize that healing does not necessarily require the accurate reconstruction of past events, but rather the development of coherent narratives that allow for psychological integration and growth. The philosophical implications of false memory formation in dissociative states extend into questions about personal identity and continuity of self. If our memories can be entirely fabricated, what provides the foundation for personal identity? The traditional view of identity as rooted in biographical continuity becomes problematic when those biographies can be largely fictional. This connects to broader philosophical questions about the nature of consciousness and subjective experience. The dissociative mind reveals consciousness as a constructive process rather than a passive recording device. We do not simply experience reality. We actively construct our experience through complex psychological processes that can generate entirely fictional narratives with profound emotional and existential significance. The phenomenon also illuminates the relationship between individual psychology and collective cultural processes. False memories do not emerge in isolation but are shaped by social and cultural contexts that provide templates for their formation. Understanding false memory formation requires attention to both individual psychological processes and broader cultural dynamics that influence how experiences are interpreted and integrated. The study of false memory formation in dissociative states reveals the remarkable creativity of the human mind in generating meaningful experience from fragmented psychological material. This creativity serves adaptive functions, allowing individuals to maintain psychological coherence in the face of overwhelming trauma or stress. However, it also creates the potential for elaborate self-deceptions that can become deeply embedded in personal identity. The challenge for both clinicians and researchers is to develop approaches that honor the subjective reality of false memories while recognizing their constructed nature. This requires a nuanced understanding of the relationship between truth and meaning in human experience. Acknowledging that psychologically meaningful experiences are not necessarily historically accurate. The phenomenon of false memory formation in dissociative states ultimately reveals the extraordinary complexity of human consciousness and the remarkable capacity of the mind to generate meaningful experience from psychological fragments. This process, while potentially problematic in clinical contexts, also demonstrates the creative and adaptive nature of human psychology. Understanding false memory formation requires a multidisciplinary approach that integrates insights from neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, and cultural studies. Only by examining the phenomenon from multiple perspectives can we begin to understand the complex interplay of factors that contribute to the generation of false memories and their integration into personal identity. The implications of this understanding extend far beyond clinical psychology into broader questions about the nature of human experience and the construction of meaning. If our most vivid and emotionally significant memories can be entirely fabricated, this challenges fundamental assumptions about the relationship between experience and reality. This recognition does not diminish the psychological significance of false memories, but rather reveals their importance as constructions of meaning that serve crucial psychological functions. The goal is not to eliminate false memories, but to understand their role in psychological functioning, and to develop therapeutic approaches that honor their subjective reality while promoting psychological integration and growth. The study of false memory formation in dissociative states continues to evolve as new research techniques provide deeper insights into the neural and psychological mechanisms involved. These advances promise to refine our understanding of consciousness, memory, and identity while informing the development of more effective therapeutic interventions. The phenomenon ultimately reminds us that human experience is far more complex and constructed than we typically assume. The dissociative mind, in its capacity to generate false memories that feel absolutely real, reveals the remarkable creativity and adaptability of human consciousness, while challenging us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about truth, reality, and the nature of subjective experience. As we continue to explore these phenomena, we gain deeper appreciation for the complexity of human psychology and the remarkable capacity of the mind to construct meaningful experience from the fragments of consciousness. This understanding has profound implications for how we approach mental health, personal identity, and the fundamental questions of human existence. The neurobiological mechanisms underlying false memory formation in dissociative states reveal the intricate relationship between consciousness and neural architecture. The default mode network, a constellation of brain regions active during rest and introspection, shows altered connectivity patterns in individuals with dissociative disorders. These alterations create conditions where memory fragments can be recombined in novel configurations, generating experiences that feel authentic despite their fabricated nature. The role of the anterior cingulate cortex becomes particularly significant in this process. This region, responsible for monitoring conflicts between different cognitive processes, shows decreased activation in dissociative states. Without adequate conflict monitoring, the mind loses its ability to distinguish between internally generated experiences and externally derived memories. This neurological dysfunction creates the perfect conditions for false memories to emerge and persist. Recent advances in neuroimaging have revealed that false memories in dissociative states often show greater activation in emotional processing centers than authentic memories. The amygdala and related limbic structures respond more intensely to false memories, creating a paradoxical situation where fabricated experiences feel more emotionally real than actual events. This heightened emotional resonance serves to reinforce the false memories, making them increasingly resistant to correction. The phenomenon of state-dependent memory formation adds another layer of complexity to understanding false memories in dissociative conditions. Memories formed in one dissociative state may be inaccessible from other states, creating fragmented memory systems that operate independently. These separate memory systems can generate their own false memories, complete with detailed narratives and emotional content that remain isolated from other aspects of consciousness. The temporal dynamics of false memory formation reveal the active, constructive nature of memory itself. Unlike passive recording devices, human memory systems continuously reconstruct experiences based on current psychological needs and contextual factors. In dissociative states, this reconstructive process becomes particularly pronounced, allowing for the generation of entirely novel experiences that serve specific psychological functions. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence finds unexpected resonance in the phenomenon of false memory formation. The idea that we might be condemned to repeat the same experiences infinitely takes on new meaning when those experiences themselves may be fabricated. The dissociative mind creates its own eternal recurrence through the generation of false memories that feel more real than actual events. The relationship between false memories and the concept of psychological time becomes crucial in understanding dissociative phenomena. While normal consciousness operates within a linear temporal framework, dissociative states often involve alterations in temporal perception. Past, present, and future become fluid categories, allowing memories from different time periods to blend and recombine in ways that generate entirely new experiences. This temporal fluidity connects to Martin Heidegger's analysis of authentic temporality in human existence. The dissociative mind represents a breakdown of authentic temporal experience, creating conditions where past experiences can be infinitely revised and reconstructed. This revision process generates false memories that may feel more authentic than the original experiences they purport to represent. The phenomenon of cryptomnesia, where individuals unconsciously plagiarize ideas or memories they believe to be original, becomes particularly relevant in dissociative states. The fragmented nature of consciousness in these conditions increases the likelihood that memories from different sources will be recombined and experienced as novel. This process can generate false memories that incorporate elements from multiple authentic experiences while creating entirely new narrative structures. The role of language in false memory formation reveals the constructed nature of all autobiographical memory. Memories are not simply retrieved, but are actively narrated each time they are recalled. In dissociative states, this narrative process becomes particularly creative, allowing for the generation of elaborate false memories that serve specific psychological functions. The concept of narrative identity, developed by psychologist Dan McAdams, provides a framework for understanding how false memories become integrated into personal identity. Individuals construct coherent life stories that give meaning to their experiences, and false memories can become crucial elements in these narratives. The psychological significance of these memories lies not in their historical accuracy, but in their ability to provide meaning and continuity to fragmented experience. The phenomenon of false memory formation in dissociative states also reveals the social construction of memory itself. Memories are not simply individual psychological phenomena, but are shaped by social interactions, cultural narratives, and collective expectations. The content and structure of false memories often reflect broader cultural themes and social scripts that influence how experiences are interpreted and integrated. The therapeutic implications of understanding false memory formation extend beyond individual treatment to broader questions about the nature of healing and psychological integration. Traditional approaches that focus on uncovering the truth about past experiences may be less effective than approaches that honor the psychological significance of false memories while promoting integration and growth. The concept of psychological truth becomes crucial in this context. False memories may not be historically accurate, but they can be psychologically true in the sense that they accurately represent the emotional and existential significance of experience. Understanding this distinction allows for therapeutic approaches that validate subjective experience while promoting psychological integration. The phenomenon of false memory formation in dissociative states ultimately challenges Western culture's emphasis on objective truth and linear causality. These experiences reveal the constructed nature of all experience and the remarkable creativity of human consciousness in generating meaningful narratives from fragmented psychological material. The study of false memory formation continues to evolve as new research techniques provide deeper insights into the complex interplay of neurobiological, psychological, and social factors involved in memory construction. These advances promise to refine our understanding of consciousness while informing the development of more effective therapeutic interventions. The implications of this research extend far beyond clinical psychology into broader questions about the nature of human experience and the construction of meaning. If our most vivid and emotionally significant memories can be entirely fabricated, this challenges fundamental assumptions about the relationship between subjective experience and objective reality. This recognition does not diminish the importance of false memories, but rather reveals their significance as constructions of meaning that serve crucial psychological functions. The goal is not to eliminate false memories, but to understand their role in psychological functioning and to develop approaches that honor their subjective reality while promoting integration and growth. The phenomenon of false memory formation in dissociative states serves as a window into the fundamental nature of human consciousness and the remarkable capacity of the mind to construct meaningful experience from psychological fragments. This understanding has profound implications for how we approach questions of identity, truth, and the nature of human experience itself. As we continue to explore these complex phenomena, we gain deeper appreciation for the extraordinary creativity and adaptability of human consciousness. The dissociative mind, in its capacity to generate false memories that feel absolutely real, reveals both the fragility and the resilience of human psychological functioning. The study of false memory formation ultimately reminds us that human experience is far more complex and constructed than we typically assume. This understanding challenges us to reconsider fundamental assumptions about truth, reality, and the nature of subjective experience while opening new possibilities for understanding the depths of human consciousness. The continued exploration of these phenomena promises to deepen our understanding of the human mind and its remarkable capacity to construct meaning from the fragments of experience. This research has implications not only for clinical practice, but for broader questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and the human condition itself. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, like, and share the video.